King Clancy wants to know how the war ends. The war is basically among mental bodies. Mental bodies, and they associate with a physical body. The mental bodies have been given lectures on how to behave, but some mental bodies refuse to behave, and that creates the need to have a war among mental bodies. It's not a problem. It's very easy to war with other mental bodies. It's basically everything that goes on planet Earth is one opinionated mind versus another opinionated mind. How do they fight? Well, they usually pick up some physical body and they start. Well, it's usually I pick up this physical body and you pick up that physical body and we're going to duke it out. But if your mental bodies are discarnate entities, that is, they don't have an assigned physical body, and then they decide they're going to pick all the same body, then what happens? Well, it's not going to be easy to explain that when one of these mental bodies decides to go and lift the arm, and the other ones are going, what the hell are you doing? Because the body itself knows when to raise its arm, and it will do it on its own. But certain mental bodies have the capability of forcing the arm to go up when the mental body wants it to go up. It's very highly unbelievable, but it does happen. And the answer to everyone's question is, how do you stop mental bodies from acting on physical bodies? It's basically one mental body saying, this hand is going to stay here, while the other one is saying, I'm going to lift it off that way. And then what happens? Well, then you get kind of like, the whole body shake. It's not fun for the body. So, a lot of mental bodies will say, fine, we'll let the physical body do what it wants to do. But we still have got certain mental bodies that force themselves on the physical body. How do you deal with mental bodies that refuse to be kind to the physical body? I always say we should just delete them. But that's just words. If I was going to imprint that into the subconscious mind, it ain't happening. So, in somehow, some way, all the metaphysics about expressing what you want for the subconscious mind to do it. Oh, the other piece of the puzzle. This is The Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes was the writer of the book, The Science of Mind. And if you've heard of the religious science church, this is what they teach you. There's a lot of other new thought groups that also use this idea, the power of positive thinking, for example. But the whole idea is apparently it's up to the divinity to decide when it is that you want to happen happens. So is the divinity a separate consciousness, or what is it? This is the problem with The Science of Mind. It was written a long time ago by Ernest Holmes, who's dead. And now you've got, various experts that will tell you. And usually if something doesn't outpicture the way you want, they say, well, in divine right timing, it will happen. Well, when's that going to be? Well, it's not up to you. It's up to the divinity. What's the divinity? Well, it's just a word. In other words, whatever the time frame is for it, it's going to be perfect according to the divinity. And that's very difficult for your little ego to deal with because, back to the example of more than one mental bodies working on moving a physical body. We don't want to wait forever for certain mental bodies to be ejected from the project because they won't be kind to the physical body. And this, is basically what we're looking at on the whole of planet Earth. We all go around shaking our heads saying, why are there so many horrible, horrible people on the planet? Why don't we just eject them? Why doesn't the divinity eject these horrible people? That's what we want. We don't want horrible people. Get rid of them. Divinity, ask. I say, delete all horrible people. And the answer I get from the divinity is, it can't be done the way you want it to be done. You can't just eject these mental bodies. What needs to be done is these mental bodies have got to learn how not to be aggressive towards others. Am I supposed to be a teacher for all of these mental bodies? I don't even know who they all are. There's 8 billion people on the planet. How am I supposed to get to them? And no, the divinity says, no, 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 it's not your job. And the divinity says, yes, we understand that for you, it is exceptionally frustrating because you have no tools to deal with this problem. And so you must leave it up to the divinity and wait. And then you wait for 10 years and nothing has really changed. You look at the politics on the planet, you look at the evening news, you hear horrible stories from your friends about this, that, and the next thing, and you go, divinity, we've been waiting a hell of a long time for you to act, and you're not acting. So what's the scoop? And then the divinity just disappears and doesn't answer. So the next question is, perhaps the divinity that we think is divine is not. And I was reading a talk this morning about this. And the idea was, well, it was complicated, but the idea was that our subconscious mind is a hive mind. So a hive mind is, it's like the Borg in Star Trek, The Next Generation. And it allows the death of physical bodies. Now, this doesn't sound very divine to me, and yet apparently we're still part of this hive mind, or are we? The hive mind might also be called the matrix mind from the Matrix films. To get past this matrix, you have to unplug from it. And once you're unplugged from it, well, you're still living among a lot of other humans that are plugged into this hive mind. So how's this supposed to go? It's, how do you unplug from the hive mind? That someone said you got to stay in euphoria. So what does that mean? I've got to do euphoric things like, go skydiving 24 hours a day, or I don't know, move into an Arab harem where you could have all the, I don't know. This was just what a British man had written. And he was a bit of a mad scientist. So, do we have a hive mind running us that allows all this horrible? Well, clearly it does, because we see it all the time. How do we hijack this hive mind so it doesn't allow these things to go on? Perhaps it takes a tipping point of quite a few people to, or is there something else? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. That's basically me saying, I don't know. But that is the news that came across my desk this morning, and I give it to you. I remember the old song by Alvin Lee and 10 Years After. I'd love to change the world, but I don't know how, so I leave it all up to you, or something like that. It's a better song sung than it is in words. But I do encourage you all to meditate as much as you can, because that is a good way to get rid of the monkey mind, which is full of urges to be aggressive and arrogant towards others. This was Sergeant Fogelis, but I guess we're going to be Harry Weaver, your constant narrator. Thank you for watching.